To yours Verstappen, coming to you from the paddock. My son Max is simply lovely. I love gold. Max Verstappen will be driving for Mercedes next season if Christian Horner does not leave.
Oh, sorry for that, everybody. Welcome into another episode of the Shake and Bake F1 podcast. As you can see, despite that appearance from Max Verstappen, it is a solo podcast this week by myself. Adrian had some things to do. His laptop wasn't working. And tomorrow he has a table read for not a musical, I want to say a play? Is that the right word? I don't know. Play doesn't seem like it gives it enough credit, but hey, I digress. That is his thing, and he will discuss it when he wants to. So Adrian's not here. You're stuck with me. Please stick around, though. We've got some good stuff to talk about this week, starting with what is grinding my gears. Not only that, but I have a nice new transition for everybody, so enjoy this. You like that? Yeah, so there we go. Grinding my gears. What's grinding my gears this week, aside from the fact that it looks like Max Verstappen and Red Bull are going to run away with another season, even though we're only one race in, it looks like their gap is once again insurmountable and doesn't look like the sport is in a very good place. But I'll get to more of that later. For now, what's grinding my gears is just common human decency and how it has disappeared from the world. Disappeared. Now, people don't say, thank you, please. They don't open doors for each other. They're just rude. Very rude. Twice in the last week, I've had a situation. Now, to get to work, I walk 5 minutes, I take a streetcar, and I take a subway. Twice in the last week, I've been waiting about like 7 to 10 minutes for said streetcar to get to said subway. And waiting. One of the first people there, by the time the streetcar comes, there's a good 15, 20 people waiting. Now, you'd think if you were there first, you'd get on first. No. Twice I've had people come up at the last second, weren't waiting at all, come up, barge right in front of me, and then there's no room left on the streetcar. And I haven't been able to get on. Now, I've had to wait. First time it happened, I was a little miffed, but I kept my thoughts to myself. This time it happened this morning when I was already in a bad mood. Not really a morning person. Hadn't had my morning coffee yet. And okay, I didn't really say anything either this time, but I wanted to. I really wanted to put that person in their place. Kill them off. Need to just for stopping there to help me out. But alas, that's my grinds my gears. That is what is grinding my gears this week. The lack of common human decency out there. We live in a society. All right? So keep that in mind next time you want to be an asshole. Don't be an asshole. Just be a good person. Yeah. Moving on. Let me get another transition here for you folks. Ready? That's a transition sound. Hope you like it. We do have an update on the Christian Horner saga. A couple updates, actually. First one being, as we talked about last week, he is keeping his job. But since the news came out that he's keeping his job, news has also come out that someone sent a document, about a 100-page document full of text messages, pictures, videos, evidence, all against Christian Horner. And this has really gone from an investigation being done by Red Bull with apparently an independent investigator, I may have been wrong about that last week, to now the court of public opinion. We haven't seen all of these leaks, but from what we have seen, some of it looks like it's AI, some of it looks real, some of it looks like a tiny little Christian Horner pee-pee. There's one of his nipple. I don't know where that came from. A couple weird pictures out there, a lot of weird messages, more stories emerging. So we're going to have to stay on top of that as it develops. But I don't know. That has led since to Jos Verstappen and Helmut Marko, but mostly Jos Verstappen. Of course, Jos Verstappen, the father of Max Verstappen. Simply lovely. Jos has taken it upon himself to really say publicly now that Red Bull is falling apart at the seams and they are in danger of going into complete and utter chaos, to the point where he is now saying if Christian Horner is still at Red Bull next season, Max Verstappen will not be. Max Verstappen will take his talents to Mercedes, replacing Lewis Hamilton, as he's going to Ferrari, as we all know. And with him will go JP, I would assume. JP Lambiasi, his comms guy. And the big name, Adrian Newey. I was trying to think of a clever little nickname to slide in there in the middle. But Adrian Newey apparently will be leaving. And Ford is apparently thinking of pulling their deal that they have with Red Bull. So I don't really know what is keeping Christian Horner around at this point. Yes, he's good at his job, but he's also a grade A asshole and causing a lot of trouble. Just not really looking like the sport is in a great place right now. We have that. We have the fact that Max is dominating, so that's turning away a lot of fans. Not necessarily because of Max himself, just it's him and him alone. Like his teammates aren't even close to him. The other teams aren't close to him. So again, not Max's fault, but not too exciting for even a big F1 fan. I know a lot of people that are like fringe F1 fans, and they have completely fallen off. Willing to give it another chance when it's close, but it's just not close. So a little bit frustrating, but I digress. That will hopefully work itself out over the course of the year. I don't know. But right now, not looking very good for that. But yeah, do I believe that Max Verstappen will be driving for Mercedes in 2025? No, I do not. I believe that this is a negotiating tactic on behalf of both Mercedes and Jos Verstappen. A smart negotiating tactic, but a negotiating tactic nonetheless for Toto Wolff and Mercedes. It makes them look like they are still a prime destination for top drivers to go to after the departure of Lewis Hamilton and a couple down years. And for Jos Verstappen, it gives him some leverage to say, if you guys don't get rid of this Christian Horner fella, my son is going to leave. Adrian Newey's going to leave. You're going to lose the Ford deal, and you're going to fall apart as a team. And they're not... Red Bull isn't like Mercedes or Aston Martin or Ferrari where they're selling, like they have cars. They're a car company. Red Bull is not that. So bunch of down years, and if everything goes to turmoil, I mean, who knows how far down this could spiral. That's obviously way down the road and not really a concern right now. But as of right now, it does look pretty bad if they don't get rid of Christian Horner. But again, I think this is all a negotiating tactic. Max has a contract through 2028 with Red Bull. They're the top team. They've been the top team for a few years. The only way that I can see any chance of Max wanting to leave is if things start to come out about how the engine or the car in 2026, when the new regulations kick in, is going to be a tractor and it's not going to be good. I don't think that would be the case, especially if Adrian Newey has his hands on designing that car. But we'll see. We'll see how that pans out. This story is changing by the minute, by the hour. So we're just going to follow it. Jos Verstappen will not be at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, and there was some speculation that is because of his rift with Christian Horner, but that has since been disproven. It is actually because he had a previous commitment to some sort of other race. I don't know if he's racing or if he's just going as a spectator or as a ambassador of sorts. Couldn't tell you that one, but he will not be there this weekend, so we will not have to, or we will not get to see any more of those awkward encounters, but I'm sure there will be plenty of them regardless. So moving on to our next segment, which is takeaways. Hold on one second here. Takeaways from Bahrain. Not going to go into a whole race recap because no one wants to hear that a few days after the race. But we had Yuki versus Daniel, both Visa, Cash App, Red Bull drivers. Don't know if it's called VCARB or RB, as they seem to be calling it on the broadcast. But two of them kind of battling, I guess, or going for 13th and 14th place. Team orders let Danny through Yuki because he's on soft tires. Danny goes through. Yuki's not happy about it. After the race on the in-lap, Yuki locks up and almost crashes into Danny, almost takes him out. And both had some choice words. Danny was very diplomatic and mature, mentioning how Yuki was immature and that they would deal with it behind closed doors. But I think the door is closing on any chance of Yuki Tsunoda driving for Red Bull next year. And Danny's handling of that was very impressive because you could tell he wanted to say more. But if you're going to drive with the likes of Max Verstappen at Red Bull, you're probably going to have some situations that you're going to have to kind of reel in your real thoughts, reel in your true thoughts, and play the PR game. So Danny has shown that he can do that. And yeah, I don't know. We'll see if anything else comes from it. I don't really expect those two they're both, Yuki and Danny are both, they seem like very, very nice guys. So I can't imagine it's going to turn into a huge rift between the two, but time will tell. Again, we had Red Bull dominance, as I already discussed. I'm not going to go into that too much more because it pisses me off, quite frankly. The other real main takeaway, aside from Carlos Sainz had a great drive. A couple nice moves on Charles Leclerc. Those two had a good little battle between each other. The McLarens looked better than I thought they would. Mercedes, disappointing, to say the least. Aston Martin, a little disappointing. But the big disappointment was Alpine. Alpine has dropped off a map. I mean, they seemed like they were, the last few years, like definitely in the could be like the 5th to 7th best team, depending on where they land. But definitely now with that, it's kind of split into a top 5 and a bottom 5. They seem like they're prime candidates to be at the top of the bottom half, if that makes sense. Like 6 through 10 are all kind of similar, and 1 through 5 are all kind of similar. Not really. Red Bull obviously has an advantage, but it seemed like Alpine could definitely vie for 6th. Now they're dead last by a margin, and Pierre Gasly and Esteban Ocon must be pissed. So much so, the team is in such bad shape that their team principal and their head of aerodynamics have both resigned since the race, and they are completely having to go back to square one. I don't know what the future holds for them, but it is not looking good. They had all those investors join the team, all those celebrities. That, I don't know, I can't really say the investment doesn't look good because it's still early days, and I don't know, I don't think the investment is necessarily all banked on how well the team does on track, but yeah, things at Alpine not looking very good. What do we got next? Did you know? Nice little transition. Ready for it? Whoa, there's the graphic. Yeah. Did you know? Pardon me, I gotta consult my notes here. Did you know Valtteri Bottas holds the record for the highest speed reached in an F1 race? Bottas hit 231 miles per hour, or 372 kilometers an hour, at the 2016 Mexican Grand Prix. 372 kilometers an hour. That is moving. So yeah, there you go. That's it for Did You Know? No one to bounce this off, so we're just going to keep on moving. What do we got next? Ready? Saudi Arabian Grand Prix preview at the Jeddah Corniche circuit. We have some great race times this week. Again, it's on a Saturday. Practice 1 is Thursday, 8:30 a.m. This is Eastern Standard Time. Practice 1, 8:30 Thursday. Practice 2, noon Thursday. Practice 3, 8:30 a.m. Friday. Qualifying, noon Friday. Race, noon Friday. So race, noon Saturday. Pardon me. Let me say that again. Qualifying, Friday at noon. Race, Saturday at noon. So make sure, in front of your TV, I'm not going to name names, but I had a friend that missed the race this weekend, thinking it was on Sunday. Even though we were discussing how qualifying went on Friday, he missed the race and missed his F1 pool bets. So hopefully that doesn't happen again to him. No names. Yeah, so that's the times. We've got some track info here for you. Jeddah Corniche Circuit. I believe that's what it's called. Jeddah Corniche Circuit. Yeah, that's correct. First Grand Prix here was held in 2021. You'll remember Max went right up Lewis's hoop, right up his keister. Both were able to finish the race somehow, but great battle between the two. We had Max almost setting arguably the best qualifying lap of all time here. Great battles between Charles and Max right after the new regulations came in. We've had a lot of good stuff at this track in only a few years. It's arguably, I don't know the data on this, but maybe the fastest track on the calendar. It's one of the most dangerous. It's one of the trickiest to nail. It's qualifying will be very exciting regardless of the gap. I mean, it's a really, really exciting track. Now, some people don't like it. Some people think there's too many blind corners, and if someone's parked it on the wrong side of one of those blind corners, something very bad could happen, but we will see. It's a 50 lap race with a circuit length of 6.174 kilometers. The lap record is held by Sir Lewis Hamilton, 130.734. So yeah, looking forward to that. In terms of the pecking order, it's hard to tell. Now, this track has so Bahrain is probably the highest tire degradation track on the calendar. A lot of slow sweeping corners. Well, this is probably one of the least tire deg tracks on the calendar. So, as I said, a lot very, very fast and not as much tire deg. So that should close the gap up a little bit because Red Bull really dominates really at every kind of track. But their tire deg is pretty impressive, or lack thereof, for tire deg for them. I mean, Carlos Sainz was saying that his tire deg with the softs was the same. Sorry, with the hards, his hard tires had the same tire deg as Red Bull's soft tires at Bahrain. So, yeah, not great for the rest of the field when you factor that in. But this week should be a little closer, I think. That's what people are saying. I'm kind of the opinion that it's such a fast, tight track that Red Bull's speed and dominance will be even exacerbated even more. They're going to dominate even more because it's such a fast track. They're just going to build that gap. And I don't know. Sergio Perez was once deemed the street king. Didn't look like it in Monaco last year. He kind of lost that moniker, but he could battle Max a little bit this weekend. We'll see. I don't think he's going to get too risky with it, but again, we'll see. I have a little bit more on that in my bet segment, but yeah, I don't know. I think the pecking order is Red Bull number 1, Ferrari number 2, and then kind of a tie for 3rd and 4th, Mercedes and McLaren. We'll have to see what kind of setup and basically what kind of car they come out with this week. Aston Martin looks to be 5th, but again, they could improve. And then after that, it's kind of a crapshoot 6 to 10. That's going to be in fluctuation all season long. Right now, though, as I mentioned, Alpine definitely in 10th. We got best bet of the week. I don't have a graphic for this, but I do have a nice, handy transition sound. Best bet of the week. So last week, Adrian and I, we each put down, started the season with $100, and I made a $50 bet at 1.95 odds that Charles, don't call me Chuck, Leclerc, would podium. Didn't do so well. His teammate got the podium, so I'm down to $50. My partner in crime, Adrian, he put $20 on Hamilton to podium at 2.65 odds. Good odds. Didn't get that either. He's only down $20, so he's down to $80. I'm down to $50. He's currently leading, but really we're both losing. This week, I'm not sure what his pick is, but my pick, Sergio Perez. As I mentioned, he is good on street tracks historically. This one in particular, he's very good at, so I don't know if he's going to win, but I do have him to podium. The odds are 1.66, not the best odds, but certainly better than Max's odds to win by far. So that's going to be my bet. I've got $50 left. I'm going to risk half of it. I really need this to hit, otherwise I'm going to be in danger of running out of money within the first month of the season. Nobody wants that to happen. Well, maybe people do want that to happen, but I don't want that to happen. So that is my bet this week. On to my shout out of the week, and you're not going to believe it, but I have another transition for this one. Oh, not a huge fan of that graphic. We'll have to switch that up, but hey, only had so much time today, and that's what I came up with. So, shout out this week is going to go to the one, the only Otmar Szafnauer. Former Alpine team principal. I believe he was the team principal at Aston Martin before that, and he left on, I'm not going to say bad terms, but whether it was the Netflix Drive to Survive portrayal of it, or actually how it seemed in real life, he kind of got the shaft last year. Like, he got raw into the deal. They just out of nowhere fired him mid-race weekend, I believe, at Spa in Belgium. If I remember correctly, it was literally the middle of the weekend, and then they said he was going to be leaving at the end of the weekend. I don't know how you're supposed to finish up being team principal of a team when you know you're getting fired at the end of the weekend, but he did. And they were maybe not where they wanted to be last year. Maybe they weren't battling with where they thought they deserved to be, or all the money that's come in. They weren't doing how they wanted. They weren't doing as good as they wanted. Let me just say, get the marbles out of my mouth and say that. But they have dropped right off the cliff since he left. So shout out to Otmar, because he seems like a very, very nice guy, and he must be very happy right now. Do I think he's the best team principal? No. His his temperament doesn't necessarily seem to be the best for a team principal. He is very calm, which is good, but once in a while, you kind of just need to lay down the law, lay down the lumber, and let the guys have it. They had a couple really bad weekends where the drivers were crashing into each other and just not. Ocon and Gasly just weren't playing the team game, and he would just say, like, don't worry about it. We're on to next week. We're moving on. You kind of need to. Maybe he did behind closed doors, but from what we saw, he really didn't. He wasn't hard enough on them. You got to kind of come in and put down the pressure a little bit once in a while, but that's okay. That's his style, and it looks like his style was a lot better than whoever came in and took over, because they are now gone. As I said, the team principal and head of aerodynamics out the door. So Otmar, kudos to you. You must be feeling pretty good about yourself right now. I think that might be all we have this week. Adrian has said that because he wasn't able to make it to this, he will be doing a live stream of qualifying. So allegedly, we'll have a live stream Friday at noon, which we will link to here. So check that out if you want to see live reactions, but we'll have some clips from that. I'm not sure if I'm going to hop on, probably not, but I think I'm working from home on Friday, so it's possible. Race on Saturday, don't forget that. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for me. So I, RJ McCullough, want you to remember, if you're not first, you're last.